Lost Civilizations and the Builders of Malta. In this video we will pin down the ancient advanced and lost civilizations, as well as the subsequent builders in and of Malta. This pinning down will be valid for pretty much all other Mediterranean islands, as well as all what surrounds the Mediterranean, with a lot of typical polygonal wall building immediately north of the Mediterranean. Recommended video about Malta and Gozo. We recommend Michael Button's video regarding Malta, this in case you look for more info regarding Malta and Gozo. The title of Michael Button's video is, I Visited Malta's Ruins. And They Might Rewrite History. Ancestral markers point to out of the Americas. Ancestral markers are the scientific tools by excellence to pin down ancestors, but the general public is not familiar with them, so we will start out with a very graphic alternative they are much more familiar with, the dominant and oldest haplogroups in Malta and the region. Haplogroup-J, and next E, to the north R1b, Islands of I. On all sides of Malta we see Y-DNA haplogroup-J, and next E. A bit more to the north we see R1b. We see some islands of I. From less to most probable builders. Let us progress from the least probable to the most probable haplogroup to have built Malta, etc. Please note the Canary Islands as well as Iceland presenting I, and a kind of a band from Iceland to the Mediterranean, this through the Balkan. Also please remember that is what several later population turnover events have left of I amongst modern humans. Y-DNA haplogroup I presents indices to have come from the Americas, which would be in line with all the ancestral markers, as well as all the genetic 3 population tests, but it is too recent for megalithic building and travels too far north in the Atlantic, so we exclude it as the initial builder of Malta, etc. Y-DNA haplogroup R1b has its prehistoric root in the Americas, which would be well in line with the ancestral markers, but the descendant R1b is too recent for megalithic building and travels too far north in the Atlantic. Stonehenge contracted by the Bell-Beaker culture. R1b on occasions turns over an older haplogroup or subclade, like for instance, I2, R1a and or R1b still without the M296 mutation, which we all consider possible partners or lower classes of the group that effectively turns over them. With the builder class and or lower class preparing ground and or executing a certain megalithic building they are specialized in for example R1b M296, which both would be well in line with the ancestral markers, but the older or lower class descendant R1a does not typically build sophisticated buildings as they are found in Malta, etc. The older or lower class is possibly too recent to still dominate megalithic building, and could have traveled through the Austronesian expansion route or too far north in the Atlantic, landing high up in western Eurasia, which possibly is or became kind of out of reach, to have built in Malta, etc. Stonehenge builders are of Y-DNA haplogroup I. If there had been other groups together with or even before I, these cremated their deaths, or left their fossils in mounds not directly linked to Stonehenge. Certain elements or stones of Stonehenge come from different places. This can be because the builders were from these other places, or there was an intention to integrate them into the newly formed site and or culture. Builders disappear from the records. We do not think the newcoming R1b M296 killed or even violently overturned the builders and or I. We hypothesize that builders, like also I, would move on to next building contracts, or return to their original places and or burial habits, or else the arriving R1b M296 would be so numerous they would absorb the builders, or the elite newcomers would be the only ones to have the right to be buried in the recognized burial place. We do not see these recognized burial places as cemeteries for the population in general, but as the representation of what these people want their offspring to become in life, and that is for them to become elite and kind of divine. On death, the general public would be cremated, or be moved to their burial places in less elite and divine locations. Stonehenge to ask for divine offspring. We do not exclude at all that Stonehenge and other similar sites across the world have a procreation purpose, and that fertile women would be artificially and or naturally inseminated by semen not from their actual husband or partners, even if they were accompanied by them to these sacred places. This would be especially easy if women would be visiting while ovulating, and the couples desiring some divine and or prosperous offspring. All that would be needed is that women and men should follow the guidelines. There are at least indications that this could have been the case all across the world, especially in the most developed cultures, but these are for other videos. In any of the above cases, the builders would disappear from then on recognized and sequenced fossils. While R1A and R1B very well could have been subsequent builders, with R1B the more sophisticated builder, we exclude both as the initial builder of Malta, etc. R1B V88 Green-Sahara and Central Africa. Haplogroup R1B is found in various parts of Africa and presents subclades, with a 1B V88 being common in parts of Central Africa. E is American, 60,000 years old, and Built Malta. Y-DNA Haplogroup-E presents indices to have come out of the Americas, which would be in line with the Ancestral-Markers. Consensus estimates E 60,000 years old, so old enough for megalithic building, and he travels more south in the Atlantic. Since it is the only one not excluded, we consider it as the initial builder of Malta, etc. E. Currents, mummies, Hypogea in Malta, etc. Y-DNA Haplogroup-E is known for its seafaring, mummies as well as Hypogea, like in the Canary-Islands, and also in the Green-Sahara, and this could explain the presence of mummies, as well as Hypogea in Malta, Gozo, etc.